Thank you. You're welcome.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most notable times celebrities gave talk show hosts a taste of their own medicine, whether it was serious or in good fun.
Is this still CNN?
Number 30, Nathan Lane. Nathan Lane is no stranger to playing games with Jimmy Fallon. For this edition of Password, the Broadway legend dishes out a life lesson in response to Fallon's usual competitiveness.
You know, before we start, I'd like to set some ground rules.
Oh, boy.
You know, I've played many games with Jimmy over the years, and it always turns ugly.
The game hasn't even started yet, but he clearly knows what to expect. So, with nothing but love, Lane reminds his partner that it's all just a friendly competition. The actor doesn't mince words in a funny rant that levels Fallon.
And it turns into very competitive and a lot of misplaced anger, Jimmy.
I did not
Which
do that.
I find very triggering, so...
It's definitely overdramatic, but also so well thought out that it functions like a powerful monologue. Fallon's reaction says it all. One thing's for sure, these two have a chemistry that elevates the moment.
No matter who wins or who loses, you're still a very special boy, and we all love you.
Number 29, Jon Stewart. Despite their political differences, these two seem to have an unexpected rapport. Here, Jon Stewart keeps getting pelted with questions about Common being invited to the White House.
I can't speak for him because I'm not him.
Yes.
I don't think.
After Bill O'Reilly presses him on the issue, Stewart dishes out an effective comeback, breaking down the host's argument. He articulates his defense by pointing out O'Reilly's hypocritical position. Not only that, he manages to inject his trademark wit and astute commentary into his remarks. He even includes a surprise phrase that you wouldn't expect.
Guess where he was? The White House. Booyah!
All right.
That's a rap word.
The interviewer doesn't quite give up, but it's clear that Stewart wins the war of words. Number 28, Conan O'Brien. After the turmoil surrounding his The Tonight Show exit, Conan O'Brien emerged on the other side re-energized. He spends part of this 2012 interview discussing the debacle with David Letterman.
I think the longer we just sit here, the more uncomfortable it will make Jay.
You know Jay's watching right now.
The host shares his delight in the entire mishap, inspiring O'Brien to clap back with a sarcastic answer. The response shows how quick he can be, while also revealing his ability to make fun of himself.
I will tell you, and this is honest, the only consolation I took during that period was that you were happy.
It's all in jest, but still. Clearly, O'Brien can joke through the pain, endearing himself even more to the audience. It's moments like these that remind us of his enduring charm as a performer.
And if this is bringing you some measure of joy, then to hell with my career.
Yeah,
you
no.
know?
Number 27, Ricky Gervais. Unafraid to talk about big ideas, Ricky Gervais enjoys a spirited debate about religion with Stephen Colbert.
I know that you're an atheist, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. People have been debating. That's the devil waiting for you in hell, by the way.
It's often a taboo subject, but the pair manages to have a civil discussion about it. Indeed, Gervais boils down his views about science and reasoning into one powerful response.
Science is constantly proved all the time. You see, if we take something like any fiction, and any holy book, and any other fiction, and destroyed it, okay, in 1,000 years' time, that wouldn't come back just as it was.
Even Colbert acknowledges the clapback, giving him credit for the logical breakdown.
That's good. That's really good.
The British comedian also engages with the idea without talking down to anybody. Finding the humor in a serious topic, he arguably wins the debate. It might not change someone's personal beliefs, but he certainly makes an intriguing and compelling point.
Ricky, please come back and debate something even more important.
Sure.
Number 26, Howard Stern. Outspoken and outrageous, Howard Stern never censors himself. This interview with David Letterman covers his blunt feelings about Jay Leno. Letterman confirms that he's spoken with Leno on the phone, which annoys Stern.
Jay Leno recently said that now you two guys are exchanging phone calls with one another, that you're actually talking on the phone. Is this true?
We have spoken on the phone, yes.
Well, I'm out of here. I mean, I give up.
His response, where he makes said annoyance abundantly clear, is nothing short of passionate. Then, when the host asks him if he's ever tried to do the same with a former enemy, he objects in an entertaining way.
Are there people that at a certain time in your career you didn't see eye to eye with that now that you have a positive communication
Yes,
with?
I have, but not Jay Leno.
Through it all, he doesn't let Jay Leno off the hook, and the result is both funny and surprising. He's been on Letterman's side in the whole The Tonight Show hosting feud debacle, and he'll continue to fight the proverbial war. His raw emotions and unfiltered opinions are on full display here. Number 25, Shakira. As an international pop star, Shakira endures all kinds of interviews and press coverage. This particular segment on Skavlan captures how adept she is at answering hard questions.
I mean, no child in the world wants to be a drug trafficker, if you ask him. No child will tell you, yeah, I want to be a criminal or a militant, you know?
When the host asks people's preconceived notions of her, she gives a brilliant response.
Do you often feel that people have preconceived ideas when they meet you?
Maybe,
Who you are.
I don't really care, you know?
Indeed, the singer describes the complexities of being a woman under scrutiny with a clever analogy.
I think that a woman's soul is like a diamond, right? And it has many facets. So you can't judge a woman just for one facet. We're not unidimensional. I mean, we can wear a short skirt, but we know what we're talking about. Right?
You can tell from her response that she has a good sense of humor and a detailed thought process, taking the subject seriously. Impressing the other guests, Shakira clearly wins the day by delivering a nuanced response. Number 24, Martin Short. Anytime he appears on a talk show, Martin Short proves he is an incredible roaster. Just look at how he works wonders at Conan O'Brien or Andy Richter's expense. This is especially true after a tense exchange about the host's potential in animated films.
What I love about you is that you have the perfect face for animation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Needless to say, Short doesn't hesitate to bring O'Brien down a few notches.
I would love to do animation. I understand
Well,
it's
obviously, Hollywood doesn't want you.
His performance feels effortless. Somehow, he can throw out a seemingly hurtful line but still manage to win the crowd over. Clearly amusing O'Brien, Short reminds everyone that he can take over a room with his unique energy. Number 23, Charles Grodin. Among the more underrated performers of his era, Charles Grodin didn't want to have a typical interview with Johnny Carson.
Taking care of business is probably the most entertaining picture I've done since Heaven Can Wait.
Did I miss a question? Somewhere in between?
This appearance on The Tonight Show is much more abrasive as he starts a hostile exchange with Carson. The latter tries to explain one analogy he makes to no avail.
But they're both movies. Neither one are great movies, so the analogy was comparing that. You don't understand it, do you?
Naturally, Grodin steps in with a hilarious quip that takes aim at the host's years of experience while mocking his content.
It's amazing. How long have you been on the air?
You can't deny it takes courage to confront an iconic TV personality for comedy's sake like this. Turning the classic interview format on its head, he knows exactly how to be off-putting and entertaining all at once. Number 22, Norm Macdonald. Courtney Thorne-Smith joined Late Night with Conan O'Brien to talk about her career, mentioning her upcoming role in a movie with Carrot Top.
Wait a minute, she left Melrose Place to do a movie with Carrot Top?
That's where I'm going, my friend.
This sends fellow guest Norm Macdonald into a frenzy as he cracks jokes and makes trouble throughout. After the title of the film gets mentioned, O'Brien sets him up for a classic clapback.
If it's got Carrot Top in it, you know what a good name for it would be?
What's that, Norm?
Box Office Poison.
Of course, the quick-thinking comic barely misses a beat, making fun of the chairman of the board title with clever wordplay.
Do something with that, you freak.
I bet the board is spelled B-O-R-E-D.
It's a hilarious moment that gets a huge wave of laughter, securing McDonald's place in the hall of the greatest talk show guests. Number 21, Jon Stewart. While some looked to Crossfire for political discourse, others, like Jon Stewart, saw it as something much more negative.
Why do you argue? The two of you, I hate to see it.
His appearance on the show prompted a few choice moments and arguably contributed to its initial downfall. As co-host Tucker Carlson tries to needle Stewart over the latter's interview skills and political biases, the Daily Show personality snaps back.
You have John Kerry on your show, and you sniff his throne, and you're accusing us of partisan hackery?
Absolutely.
You've got to be kidding, man. He comes on and you literally say...
The show that leads into me is puppets making crank phone calls. What is wrong with you?
His brilliant takedown of Carlson and the entire operation is a sight to behold. No matter what gets thrown at him, he responds. Stewart easily dismantles his interviewer with multiple clapbacks for the ages throughout, showing that he can deliver incisive commentary and jokes in any venue.
I do think you're more fun on your show, just my opinion.
But can you say, just
next, Jon Stewart goes one-on-one with his fans.
You're as big a on your show as you are on any show.
Number 20, Carmen Carrera and Laverne Cox.
Talk about how this all started. When you were on Drag Race and still a man, how did you decide you wanted to fully transition and become a woman?
Well, I've always known. Growing up,
how old were you when you...
Oh, God, I was in kindergarten.
When transgender model Carmen Carrera went on Katie Couric's short-lived TV show, she was subjected to an invasive line of questioning.
Was the whole process painful?
Couric, who stated that the questions came from a place of, quote, mystery, asked Carrera everything from if transitioning was physically painful to if her, quote, parts are different now. While visibly uncomfortable with the questions, Carmen gracefully shot down Couric's inquiry by stating that she wants to focus on what's going on with her career and her life post-transition.
I'd rather talk about my modeling stuff. I'd rather talk about being in W and being, you know, maybe in Italian Vogue.
As well, when actress Laverne Cox joined them on stage, she very eloquently explained to Katie that when the discussion revolves around transition and surgery, it takes the focus away from the more pressing issues that face the transgender community.
The reality of trans people's lives is that still often we're targets of violence. We experience discrimination disproportionately to the rest of the community.
Number 19, Michelle Obama.
You know, you're really annoying. It's like taking a 3-year-old to the store.
Michelle Obama is no stranger to Ellen's playful antics after having appeared on her show numerous times. And each time, Michelle seems to hold her own. This is most evident in a segment from the Ellen DeGeneres Show, which followed the pair as they went on a shopping trip to CVS.
And you push the basket because nobody's going to push it for you.
Between Ellen constantly opening store items that were not paid for, not helping at the self-checkout, and announcing to storegoers that Michelle needed cream for a rash, it was only a matter of time before the First Lady jokingly clapped back, not only calling DeGeneres out for being annoying and acting like a child, but also shutting down Ellen's request to be featured on American Money.
You have to have done something grand, like Harriet Tubman.
Number 18, Joan Rivers.
It's not mean, I tell the truth. I'm sure I say the same things that all your viewers say to their friends sitting next to them on the couch.
Joan Rivers was known for holding nothing back when it came to her comedy, and this interview with CNN newsroom anchor Frederica Whitfield was no different. When Whitfield started off the interview by commenting on Joan's mean style of humor, the veteran comedian grew increasingly aggravated. And it didn't take long for Rivers to start clapping back at the anchor with her signature wit.
You know, this whole interview is becoming a defensive interview.
No!
Are you wearing leather shoes?
Yeah,
shut up.
I'm talking.
Discussing everything from the hypocrisy of Whitfield calling her out for wearing fur to telling her that she is, quote, not the one to interview a person who does humor, Rivers undoubtedly got the last word before storming out of the interview.
You are not the one to interview a person who does humor. Sorry.
Number 17, Chris Christie. When Chris Christie appeared on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon in 2015, he and Fallon shared stories from their summer vacations in Wolfboro, New Hampshire. While the interview started out on the right foot, things quickly turned sour when Fallon seemingly made a jab at Christie's weight after the then New Jersey governor mentioned going out for ice cream.
He's like, okay, let's go for ice cream. All right. So we get off the boat, and he turns to me and he goes,
First of all, you weren't like, all right. You were like, yeah! Good night, everybody.
After Fallon made the comment, which mentioned how excited Christie must have been for frozen dessert, Christie took a bow before walking off the stage. While he did end up coming back to finish the interview, he quipped that,
if I ever leave public life, you're going to have to hire 2 writers just to replace the garbage you say about me. It's unbelievable.
Number 16, Lil' Kim.
You want to talk about Little Kim? And that face of hers?
Wendy Williams and Lil' Kim are no strangers to confrontational interactions with fellow celebs. Things were no different when they got into a feud with each other following comments made by Williams on her show. Williams' remarks were made in response to Lil' Kim's accusations that news outlets had photoshopped images of her. Not only did Williams disagree that the images were photoshopped, but she also went on to poke fun at the rapper for her plastic surgery, going as far as to say that she should
blame your plastic surgeon, girl.
Obviously, this was not well received by the rapper, who took to Twitter to clap back at Williams by referencing her alleged hookup with the notorious B.I.G. Number 15, Jane Fonda.
But you look amazing. Why did you say, I read that you said you felt you're not proud to admit that you've had work done. Why not?
We really want to talk about that now?
There are some questions you probably shouldn't ask during interviews. While promoting her movie Our Souls at Night on Megyn Kelly Today, legendary actress Jane Fonda took issue with the line of questioning from the host. Megyn began asking Fonda if she was proud to have had work done. While Jane has previously been open about her relationship with plastic surgery, it's clear that she believes there is a time and a place for these kinds of questions. And a promotional interview is not one of them. Visibly stunned, Jane asks Megyn if they, quote, really wanted to talk about that right now, before graciously shutting Kelly's question down and quickly changing the discussion back to the movie.
Well, thanks. Good attitude, good posture, take care of myself. But let me tell you why I love this movie that we did, Our Souls at Night.
Number 14, Nikki DeYacher, also known as Nikki Tutorials.
And I feel like his entire goal was with this to destroy my life. But plot twist, that didn't happen.
No, it did not.
While being on the Ellen DeGeneres Show is a lifelong dream for some people, it might not live up to its expectations. Just ask YouTuber Nikki Tutorials. After Nikki DeYacher was blackmailed into publicly coming out as transgender, she was invited on Ellen's show to speak, not only about the situation, but also to discuss her experience as a transgender woman. While she was praised on screen by Ellen for her strength and courage, Nikki revealed a few months later that it was a different story behind the scenes. She called out Ellen for her coldness and accused the show of treating her differently compared to the other more A-list guests. Number 13, Cher.
I don't know, because I thought that I would never want to do this show with you.
Now why?
It's no question that Cher is able to hold her own when appearing on talk shows. This was no different during her long-awaited and now infamous interview with David Letterman. While the whole segment is a goldmine of hilarious banter between the two, one of the best moments happens when David awkwardly spends the first few minutes of their talk asking Cher about her perfume, to which she eventually replies, quote,
Is this as good as it gets?
Cher doesn't hold back for the rest of the interview, as she goes on to tell Dave that she only came on the show because she wanted him to pay for her hotel bill, as well as, of course, calling him a certain word.
Because you thought I was
An ass.
Number 12, Mark Ruffalo and Susan Sarandon. After Ellen found herself in controversy after she appeared to be chummy with former President George W. Bush at a football game, she defended herself on her show by saying,
Here's the thing. I'm friends with George Bush. In fact, I'm friends with a lot of people who don't share the same beliefs that I have.
However, Ellen's response furthered the backlash online, including from some of her fellow celebrities. Notably, Mark Ruffalo made a post on Twitter, stating that kindness could only be discussed once, quote, George W. Bush is brought to justice for the crimes of the Iraq War, while actress Susan Sarandon shared a quote from an Out magazine article that criticized Ellen for her response. Number 11, James Corden.
I was like, oh man, somebody needs to say something about this. If only there was someone with a platform who knew what it was actually like to be overweight. And then I realized, that'll be me.
Bill Maher isn't known for being the most politically correct of talk show hosts, which can sometimes get him into trouble. Maher found himself in controversy after he suggested that
Fat shaming doesn't need to end, it needs to make a comeback.
One of his biggest critics was fellow talk show host James Corden, who clapped back at Maher on his show, stating that
because fat shaming never went anywhere,
while also pointing out the detrimental effects it can have on people's mental health. While James spent most of the segment rebutting Bill's argument and poking fun at the controversial host, he also made sure to teasingly joke about his own weight struggle, while suggesting that Maher take on a more productive approach to the problem. Number 10, Aziz Ansari. Not only is Aziz Ansari ridiculously funny, he also uses his platform to advocate for better representation of minorities in the media. So, when The Late Show host Stephen Colbert brought this up in an interview with the comedian, and jokingly added that with the two of them on his show,
50% of the people on TV are not white. Yeah.
Ansari did not hesitate to shoot back that indeed, such diversity was an...
This is like an all-time high for CBS.
Yeah.
Their discussion of representation didn't end there, though, as they went on to joke about how a fact-checking mistake that led to Stephen calling Aziz's book by the wrong name would likely lead to someone getting fired, and that someone being white, since Aziz quipped,
There are a lot of white guys back there.
Yeah,
so.
there are.
Number 9, Little Mix. When releasing the video for their song Strip, Little Mix featured themselves and other women of all body shapes and sizes in little to no clothing in an effort to promote body positivity. This didn't go over well with Good Morning Britain host Piers Morgan, who claimed that if men did this, they'd be arrested, and that the nudity was just a ploy to sell records.
Come in, all of you, bit of girl power, and come and swear to my face and explain to me why you stripping your clothes off is not about selling records, but it's actually about something a little bit more profound.
When the comments were brought up to the girls in an interview, band member Jesse called him
language, Jesse.
To which Morgan responded with demands that the group apologize to him directly.
On International Men's Day, which it is today, I have an equally empowering image, which I don't want to share with the nation. Here it is.
While the group never ended up going on GMB, they included the clip of Morgan's demands in the intro to a song during the LM5 tour. Number 8, Nicki Minaj. Wendy Williams is known for spilling all the tea, even if it gets her into controversy.
There are some naysayers who say, why did you marry this guy, Kenneth Petty? So she's Nicki Minaj Petty.
This was no different when the host commented on Nicki Minaj's marriage to Kenneth Petty while including details of his criminal past.
Nicki Minaj's husband's name is Kenny Petty, and he's a registered sex offender.
After seeing Williams' comments, Minaj called Wendy out in a separate radio interview for her hypocrisy, claiming that Williams has rappers on her show that talk about shooting and killing, and that Petty had paid his debt to society.
Do you mention Gucci Man's body every time you mention him? Or when you discussing his wife, do you mention his man down, his charge?
She also brought up Wendy's now ex-husband, Kevin Hunter, who had an affair that resulted in his mistress having a baby, saying that the money Williams makes from being, quote, vicious, paid for his mistress's shopping sprees, hotels, and medical bills.
It's not about you doing your job. There are people who report the news, and there are people who do it with an evil intent in their heart, viciousness. And I pray for you because I know you're hurting, and I know you must be sick and humiliated.
Number 7, John Legend and Chrissy Teigen. Following the death of legendary boxer Muhammad Ali, host Piers Morgan, him again, tweeted out that the former boxer had said, quote, far more inflammatory/racist things about white people than Donald Trump ever has about Muslims, and that he, quote, hopes people don't make me sound too perfect when I die. Chrissy and her husband, John Legend, were less than pleased with the talk show host, with John taking to Twitter to tell Morgan that, quote, you could test us by announcing your retirement, while Chrissy informed her husband that, quote, trolling isn't a job. Legend and Teigen aren't the only celebrities who've taken shots at the host, as Sophie Turner has also schooled him on Twitter about the importance of mental health awareness. Number 6, Hasan Minhaj. While Ellen mispronouncing Hasan Minhaj's name during his appearance on her show in 2019 may not have been Adele Dazeem level bad, it was enough to have the Patriot Act host call her out on it.
I'm a huge fan of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's Hasan Minhaj. Yes.
No.
Really?
Well, my name is Hasan Minhaj.
Oh.
I actually want to do this on national television.
Good, please, because everyone that says your name says Hasan Minhaj.
Yeah.
Not only is Minhaj clapping back at Ellen, but also at anyone who has ever mispronounced his name, as he goes on to call out the hypocrisy of those that mispronounce his name while being able to pronounce the names of other celebrities with odd names, quipping that
there's an actor just named Ansel Elgort, and we all just walk around pronouncing it completely normally.
Yeah.
Minhaj also joked that when ordering Starbucks, he goes by the pseudonym Timothy Chalamet to keep things simple. Zing!
And what do they do at Starbucks? What do they...
At Starbucks, I just go by Timothy Chalamet.
That's good.
I just keep it simple.
Yeah,
and they usually do it right with they're like Timothy with 2 E's, and I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Wow.
Number 5, Anne Hathaway. When Anne Hathaway appeared on The Today Show to promote Les Miserables, the interview took an odd turn, as later disgraced host Matt Lauer got weirdly invasive.
Anne Hathaway, good morning. Nice to see you.
Morning, Matt.
Seen a lot of you lately.
Sorry about that.
You were.
I'd be happy to stay home, but the film.
Let's just get it out of the way. You had a little wardrobe malfunction.
Lauer started off the interview in an extremely inappropriate fashion by saying that he'd seen, quote, a lot of her lately, referring to an incident where paparazzi took a photograph at an angle where you could see under Hathaway's dress. Lauer then went on to ask what she had, quote, learned from the incident, placing the blame not on the photographers who had invaded Hathaway's privacy, but instead on the actress herself.
What's the lesson learned from something like that, other than that you keep smiling, which you always do?
While Lauer continued to push the invasive line of questioning, Hathaway shut him down with incredible decency and grace.
Well, it was obviously an unfortunate incident.
Yeah.
I think it kind of made me sad on 2 accounts. One was that I was very sad that we live in an age when someone takes a picture of another person in a vulnerable moment and rather than delete it and do the decent thing, sells it.
Number 4, Jerry Seinfeld. When Jerry Seinfeld joined Larry King on his CNN show Larry King Live, things quickly turned very awkward as the conversation turned to the Seinfeld finale.
Well, it's only a year. That's not so bad. We'll be out in a year. And then we'll be back. Could be fun. Don't have to worry about your meals or what you're gonna do Saturday nights, and they do shows. Yeah, we could put on a show, maybe Bye Bye Birdie.
King, who asked the show's namesake if the show was canceled or if Jerry had, quote, canceled them, quickly retracted the inquiry as Seinfeld began questioning if King even knew who he was and asked to see the longtime host's resume.
So you gave it up, right?
I did. So.
They didn't cancel you. You canceled them.
You're not aware of this?
While it's uncertain if the comedian was actually hurt by Larry's lack of knowledge or was just joking, we can be sure that no one will ever ask Jerry if Seinfeld was canceled again.
Don't most shows go down a little?
Most people do also. But...
Number 3, Zendaya.
I want to say to Zendaya and anyone else out there that I have heard that I am so sincerely sorry. This really has been a learning experience for me. I've learned a lot today. And this incident has taught me to be a lot more aware of cliches and stereotypes.
While E's Fashion Police provides a platform for fashion commentators to discuss the stylistic choices celebrities make on the red carpet, the commentary went too far when host Juliana Rancic said some less than appropriate things about actress Zendaya. At the 2015 Academy Awards, Zendaya showed up with her hair styled in dreadlocks, a choice that didn't go over well with Rancic, who said the style made her feel like Zendaya.
She smells like patchouli oil. Or weed. Yeah, maybe weed.
Not only did Rancic's comments spark outrage with viewers and online, but Zendaya took to Instagram to clap back at the host, stating that, quote, certain remarks cannot go unchecked, while calling the comments, quote, outrageously offensive and, quote, a large stereotype.
And I took my time and crafted something that I felt like was the right way to respond to something like that, while making it something positive, making it something that would educate people.
Yes. Number 2, Jimmy Kimmel. It probably wasn't the best idea to bring Jimmy Kimmel, a longtime friend of fellow talk show host Conan O'Brien, on the Jay Leno show in the midst of a major feud between Leno and O'Brien, but it sure was entertaining. During one of the show's segments, 10 at 10, Jimmy Kimmel joined as a guest via webcam to answer what appeared to be easy questions.
We have 10 questions. Question number 1, you had fun impersonating me Tuesday night on the Jimmy Kimmel show. What is the secret to doing a good Jay Leno impression?
Well, I hate to give away my secrets, but it's part Sylvester the cat, it's part Curly from the Three Stooges, and part Scrappy Doo.
However, Jimmy took every opportunity he could to throw shade at Leno, commenting on everything from his appearance to his canceled show to, of course, the Conan feud.
I think the best prank I ever pulled was I told a guy that 5 years from now I'm going to give you my show. And then when the 5 years came, I gave it to him, and then I took it back almost instantly. It was hilarious.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Dakota Johnson. When Dakota Johnson appeared on Ellen, things turned awkward very fast as the longtime host questioned Johnson for not inviting her to her 30th birthday party.
You turned 30.
I did.
And how was the party? I wasn't invited.
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. You were invited.
Despite Ellen's protestations, the actress insisted she had indeed invited her and had never actually gotten a reason as to why Ellen didn't attend. It wasn't until after Ellen's producer stepped in and informed the host that she had been invited that Ellen gave in, choosing to change the subject to Dakota's favorite comedian. Spoiler alert, it's not Ellen.
Yeah. But I did invite you and you didn't come. So.
This time you invited me?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
How do you know? I don't think so.
Ask everybody.
This isn't the first time Dakota Johnson has clapped back at a talk show host. She also hilariously called Jimmy Fallon out for talking over her during an appearance on The Tonight Show.
Well, no.
It's cool
I sort of...
Do they allow dogs at the hotel?
Aren't you supposed to let people talk on the show?
Did we forget another memorable clapback? Let us know in the comments below.
A little game of password is not the most important thing in the world.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.